Hey guys, it's Will at Third and Long. Today we are going to be looking at the Week 7 AP Poll Top 25 rankings that just came out this past Sunday. Who went up, who went down, and where I think they should actually be at. So go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe, and let's get started. And we'll be counting up from 1. So from 1 all the way up to 25. Coming in at number 1 with 50 first place votes, we have the Georgia Bulldogs. So Georgia actually had their best win of the year so far this season. So they beat the brakes off of the Kentucky Wildcats this past weekend. They beat them pretty bad. Now, they look good on both sides of the ball. So they look good on offense, and they also looked good on defense. Carson Beck had 300 yards passing first half. Georgia has been starting the first half of every single game really slow, so they actually got it going out of the gate this past weekend. So I say that was their best performance so far. Hopefully they can keep building from this point forward. The main thing that they need to get going right now is the running game, but nonetheless a really strong win versus a ranked opponent, so they were definitely going to stay at number 1. The team that we have coming in at number 2 is the Michigan Wolverines, getting 11 first place votes. So there's still a lot of people that think that Michigan is the best team in the country. They had a very good performance this past weekend versus Minnesota. They finally gave up more than 7 points. They only gave up 10 points this past weekend. But nonetheless, the offense looked really good, and the defense continues to perform at a high level. They have the number 1 or number 2 total defense in the country, only giving up like 7 points per game. So pretty incredible at this point. Now, they haven't really played anyone tough, but it's still pretty incredible. Now, on offense, J.J. McCarthy continues to look good. The running game is one of the best in the country with Blake Corum and Donovan Edwards. So this team is stacked. Now, Georgia every single year is always a second half team. So that second half of the year, they get really hot. Hopefully that continues to happen this year, because those first 6 games were kind of sluggish, starting out really slow. But this is when they should start getting building blocks and getting better every single game going forward from this point on. So I have no problem with them coming in at number 2. That's definitely where they've been the whole season, so they should be staying there. Coming in at number 3, we have the Ohio State Buckeyes receiving 1 first place vote. Who is the person that's voting for Ohio State as the number 1 team? If you watched that Maryland game, what on earth would make you think that that was the best team in the country right now? So they had a horrible first half. Their only saving grace first half was a pick 6. Their offense could not move the ball. Kyle McCord continues to look like crap. But let's just be honest. Let's call it what it is. He has not had any good games so far this year. Now, his stats might look pretty decent from Saturday, but he had about 5 throws that could have been picks. Now, Maryland has one of the worst defenses in the country and one of the worst defensive lines. So the fact that he couldn't pass on them, that's not noteworthy. And the fact that Ohio State's offensive line could not get any push against one of the worst defensive lines in college football. What does that mean when you have to play Penn State, when you have to play Michigan? You can't get any push. They can't fight for first downs. The only reason they got a score versus Notre Dame was because they had 10 guys on the field. So pretty concerning things, but this is nothing new. This is the same issue that the Buckeyes have had the whole season, is not being able to get the offense going. Same problem, and we're 6 weeks in now. And defense looks great, but Ryan Day has a lot of answering to do since all of the weapons that they have on the offensive side of the ball. This team should not be number 3. I would have moved them down from last week. So the poll actually has them sliding up 1 spot. I'd have dropped them down to 6 or 7, because a lot of these top 10 teams would beat the brakes off of the Buckeyes right now. Coming in at number 4, we have the Florida State Seminoles. Florida State is coming off of a pretty good win versus Virginia Tech. It was kind of an odd game because they were up 22-0 first quarter, and then they just kind of went silent after that. Now, they did win the game pretty convincingly, but it's kind of odd that you'd score 22 straight points, and then for the rest of the game, they just kind of coasted. But it's not a problem. Florida State is a very good team. Jordan Travis continues to look really good. Right now, he has 1,200 passing yards, 12 touchdowns, and 1 pick. They look good running the ball, throwing the ball. Defense looks good. Problem with Florida State is they get up for some games and they get down for some games. So there's that Boston College game, which you cannot ignore. Clemson continues to look like a so-so team, so that's not necessarily a good win. Their main win was versus LSU. Every single week, that looks less and less impressive because LSU is giving up 40 points to everybody that they play. So them constantly being in shootouts and you beating them, that doesn't look as good as it looked week 1. But nonetheless, they continue to win, and I have no problem with Florida State coming in at number 4. Coming in at number 5, we have Oklahoma Sooners. They moved up 7 spots. They, hands down, had the best win of this past weekend, beating number 3, Texas Longhorns. And just the way the game ended with Dillon Gabriel going down the field in the last minute to get the winning score. Very impressive win. Oklahoma's main issue is they still don't have a running game. But what they do have is Dillon Gabriel. He hands down has to be right now in the top 3 for the Heisman so far because he completely owned a really good Texas defense. A lot of props also give to Brent Venables. He's completely rebuilt that team on the defensive side of the ball through the transfer portal. They look like a completely different team than last year. Last year, this team got crushed 49-0 versus Texas. This year, they win it. So they definitely deserve to have moved up. I would have been fine with them even going up into the top 4. But with them moving up to number 5, that is perfectly fine. Coming in at number 6, we have Penn State. So Penn State had a bye week. They didn't play anyone, but we know what Penn State is. They've looked pretty good on offense, and they have a really good defense. But they just can't wait to play the Buckeyes and play a Michigan. I was fine with them staying at 6 because they didn't play. Now, Washington Huskies coming in. They also had a bye week. They did not play. Washington continues to do what they do every week. They score a lot of points. Penix is in the Heisman consideration. He's having a great year throwing for some crazy stats. Death, taxes, and Michael Penix throwing for 450 yards. When you look at his total season stats, it's basically off the wall. Crazy numbers that this guy's putting up. He led the league in passing last year. He's probably going to do it again this year. He has 2,000 yards passing as of right now. And they have a really big game coming up this weekend, but I'm fine with them staying at number 7. Coming in at 8, we have Oregon. So Oregon had some impressive wins their last 2 games. They beat Colorado really bad, like 42-6. And then the next week, they beat Stanford 42-6. Stanford's not good, but they beat him as much as they could have beaten him. So Oregon also has a Heisman-level quarterback in Bo Nix, but their defense is playing just as well as the offense right now. A very well-rounded team, probably the most rounded, best team in the Pac-12 as of right now. Now, that doesn't mean that they're going to win the Pac-12, but Pac-12 is very deep this year, and Oregon has Washington this weekend. That's going to be the game of the weekend, and that will be really fun to watch. Who will win it? No one knows, but as of right now, I was perfectly fine with them staying at 8. Whoever wins that Oregon-Washington game could definitely jump all the way up into the top 4. Now, coming in at number 9, we have the Texas Longhorns. So Texas fell down 6 spots. I'm fine with them falling 6 spots because I said in my reaction video that they were probably going to drop to about 8 or 9. And I'm perfectly fine with that. They're still in it. If you are a Longhorns fan, do not worry. Their whole season is still in front of them right now. Texas can technically run the table the whole year, get to the Big 12 championship, and have a rematch with Oklahoma. They would both be, well, Oklahoma would have to run the table, so they'd be 12-0. Texas would be 11-1. And what happens if Texas beats Oklahoma in the Big 12 championship? They both tie because they both won one game over the other, and they're both 12-1. What happens to the college football playoff? Do they both get in? It's pretty interesting to think about of what will happen to these two teams if they win out from this point forward and have a rematch. But Texas, really talented team. Steve Sarkisian had a couple of questionable calls there at the very end, but they played a great game. So I have no problem with them being at 9. Coming in at number 10, we have the USC Trojans. So USC is that team that continues to win, and they continue to fall 1 spot every single week. I have no issues with them falling 1 spot because they look like crap. They played Arizona and they got completely outplayed the whole game on offense and defense for once. So this is all Lincoln Riley's fault. He should have fired Alec Grinch last year. He definitely needs to fire him this offseason. Their defense got better on paper, worse on the field. How's that possible? I don't know, but he figured out a way to do it. And they won't have Caleb Williams next year. So they can't live off of scoring 50 to 60 points every week. That's not feasible. So they're still one of the better teams in the country. They're still really fun to watch. Could they still win the Pac-12? Yes. But playing Washington and Oregon with that defense, it's going to be pretty questionable, but I have no problem with them falling down to 10. They're still in the top 10, but they've gone from 5 to 10. So they need to right the ship, and they need to do it this weekend versus Notre Dame. Coming in at number 11, we have Alabama. So Alabama did not move up or down. They stayed where they were last week. They had a pretty decent win versus the Aggies this past weekend. Very low-scoring defensive game. However, Milroe, to me, played his best because he played a really good defense and he had his best game. He throws a really good deep ball. Short passes, he's not too accurate, but still, really good win versus a top defense. I'm actually surprised that they didn't put them back into the top 10, which I would have probably moved them to 10 right now, and I'd even put the Trojans behind them. But as of right now, it's perfectly fine with them being where they are. You don't want them too close to Texas because Texas beat the living crap out of them. Coming in at number 12, we have the North Carolina Tar Heels, who moved up 2 spots after beating the brakes off of Syracuse. That's a pretty decent win. Now, for the Tar Heels, Mac Brown's team here, I do not consider them a top 12 team. I do not in any way think they will finish the year top 12, but they're still a very good team. They had a really good win this past weekend. Drake May had his best game of the season, but they really haven't been utilizing him because they're more of a run-focused team right now. But Tez Walker has been cleared to play. That will definitely help them out and give the offense a boost. They do have Miami coming this weekend, so that'll be a really fun game to watch. But North Carolina, they're kind of number 12 by default because everyone in front of them is lost, so they just keep sliding up. So that's fine, but I think this team's more of an 18 to 20 team. Coming in at number 13, we have Ole Miss moving up 3 spots. So Ole Miss barely beats a horrible Arkansas team, and they move up 3 spots. That makes absolutely no sense. Their offense is playing great this season, but the defense is having an average year. They did not do anything this weekend to justify moving up 3 spots. Why? Why did they move up to 13? I love Lane Kiffin. I think this is a good team, but I think it's kind of like the Tar Heels. They're more of an 18 to 22-ish team. That's where they belong. They shouldn't have jumped them up that much. Come on. But nonetheless, they come in at number 13. Coming in at number 14, we have Louisville. Next to the Oklahoma game, this was the team that was the most impressive this weekend. So Louisville came in last weekend at number 25, and I've been saying for the last couple of weeks they should have been ranked prior to that. But they moved up 11 spots after trouncing Notre Dame pretty hard in their home, in Louisville's home. And they beat them bad. They are 6-0. They are the second best team in the ACC as of right now. They have a really easy schedule this year. So I'm not saying that they're going to run the table. I'm just saying that they can put together a really strong season this year. So props to Jeff Brom. This is a very good team, and they do also have a top 20 defense. Coming in at number 15, we have Oregon State. So Oregon State didn't move up, didn't move down, but they were in a shootout with Cal. They won like 52-40. This is 2 games this season where they've really been in shootouts. That's Cal and that's Washington State, which they lost that. So Oregon State, good team. I have a lot of respect for them. They won 10 games last year. They have no home this offseason, so they are playing for props and for a respect, and I do give that to them because I feel bad for them. But are they number 15? No, they're like a 20 to 25 team, but either way, they're still winning. But what's with the defense? And when you play those other loaded offensive Pac-12 teams, if they give up 40 to Cal, what would they give up to USC, to Oregon, to Washington? It's kind of a worrying thing, but they come in at 15. Coming in at 16, we have the team that just won't go away from these top rankings, and that's Utah, who moved up 2 spots and didn't even play. Now, I love Kyle Whittingham. I love Utah, but let's be honest here. Their offense is pathetic. They can't get 15. They can't get 20 points. So why do they keep moving up? How do they keep sticking around? Cam Rising's not playing. I will not believe Cam Rising is coming back till I see him take a snap. Every week, he might be back, might be back. Guy's not coming back. And when he comes back, he's going to be so rusty. He hasn't played since last year's bowl game. So that's not a saving grace as of right now. But anyways, they're very well coached, have a great defense. They can't score on a JV team right now. So in what world do they take a weekend off and move up 2 spots? That means no sense. I think we're now starting to get a little carried away with the Pac-12 to if you're in the Pac-12 now, you move up 3 spots. And that just doesn't make sense. Coming in at number 17, we have Duke, who is on a bye week. They moved up 2 spots, basically just because everyone in front of them lost. Are they the 17th best team? No, I don't think so. But I think they're a very good team. Now, Riley Leonard is hurt. Probably won't play this weekend in their next game. Duke, very good team, very well coached with Mike Elko. Good running game. They play very safe football. They play good defense, and they play good special teams, and they run the ball, and that's how they win. They're always a competitive tough out. Coming in at number 18, we have the UCLA Bruins, who beat Washington State this weekend. Dante Moore looks great. He's a 5-star freshman quarterback. A lot of respect to Chip Kelly. Chip Kelly knows how to run the transfer portal. He brought a lot of defensive players in. Chip Kelly actually has a pretty strong defense this year, and he has a 5-star freshman quarterback in Dante Moore, who, if he looks this good as a freshman, what's he going to look like in 2 to 3 years? So even though they go to the Big Ten, even though their conference schedule will get more difficult once they go to the Big Ten, the future is still bright for the Bruins fans. They were not ranked last week. Now they're number 18. Do I think that's a little bit of a jump? Yeah, I mean, how do you go from not ranked to 18? That really doesn't make sense, but I like Chip Kelly, so I'm perfectly fine with him. Coming in at number 19, we have Washington State, the team the Bruins beat. Washington State slid down 6 spots down to number 19. Washington State, just like Oregon State, has no home next year, so they're just playing mainly for respect. They have a really good offense. Cameron Ward is having a great season this year. He will continue to have a good season. Defense is kind of questionable, but nonetheless, they are putting together a very strong year so far. I think they are around a 19 to 21 team. So I think they actually fell kind of right where they should be. If not, they're that latter 20 to just outside of the top 25, just because the Pac-12 is so difficult to get through. But I'm perfectly fine for them being right there where they are, because they have beat number 15 Oregon State. This makes no sense. So coming in tied for 19 is Tennessee. How are you tied in a ranking? That makes absolutely 0 sense. So basically, kind of by default, Tennessee is number 20, but they are 4-1. They did move up 3 spots. Why did they move up 3 spots when they beat South Carolina 2 weeks ago? I don't really know, but I have no problem with them being 20, which I'm just going to call them 20, because they are a very talented team. Josh Heupel is a great coach, and Milton's had bad games. He's had good games, but the future is bright. They have a 5-star quarterback waiting in the wings right now. Tennessee's defense is getting better every year. They're not good, but they're getting better every year, and the offense does come to play every week. So they're about a 20 team. Coming in at number 21, we have Notre Dame, the team who started out so hot and has just laid an egg the last 3 weeks. So Notre Dame slid down 11 spots after losing to Louisville in Louisville. It's pretty disheartening because they were such a great start to the year. Sam Hartman looking great. He had a horrible game this past weekend. So Notre Dame slid down. The problem with Notre Dame, they have no vertical weapons. They have a great defense. They have a great running back in Estime, well coached, really good defensive line. But they can't go vertical, and you just can't do that. So they got beat up by Louisville. They have to right the ship, but they have USC this weekend. If they lose, they will actually be out of the top 25, and that's pretty crazy to say. Coming in at number 22, we have the LSU Tigers. They are 4-2. They moved up 1 spot. They had another shootout this past weekend. Every single weekend is a shootout. It's kind of starting to get old. Like I said when this year started, I said they were an 8-4, 9-3 at best team, and that's definitely showing here. What is with the defense? Brian Kelly recruits well. This team is very talented, especially on the offensive side of the ball. How are they giving up 40 points? This is a Big 12 team from 2012, basically. They play really good offense, and their defense is a complete joke. That's basically what they are. And as they get further into conference play, they have more losses coming, because they're giving up 30 to 40 points to everybody. It does not matter who they play. And that's pretty concerning right now. And at this point of the year, I don't see that changing. But thankfully for them, they do have Jaden Daniels, and I feel bad for him. He's playing at a Heisman level this year. He will not get invited because they're going to lose 3 or 4 games. But he's playing really good, and he's what's gotten them those 4 wins. Coming in at number 23, we have Kansas, who's now 5-1. So Kansas beat UCF pretty bad this past weekend. They're 5-1. Their only loss is to Texas. That's a really good loss. That's about as good as it could have been. So I definitely believe that they belong back in the top 25. They do kind of get into the top 25 recently, get into conference play and get thrown out and go 6-6. But really strong win versus UCF, who did have Plumlee back. That's the main key, and they beat them fair and square. Coming in at 24, we have Kentucky moving down 4 spots at 5-1 on the year. Kentucky has no business being ranked. Let's call it the way it is. Kentucky is not a good team. They're 8-4 at best. To me, more than likely 7-5. They beat a god-awful Florida team, which was a complete joke. Florida is a run-heavy team playing a rush defense team. Devin Leary is a disaster. He's horrible. I don't know what happened to him since his NC State one season that he had when he had like 35 or 38 touchdowns, but he's completely fallen off since then. The guy had like 68 yards versus Florida. He's completely pathetic. They play really good defense. I do like Mark Stoops, but they're not a good team, and they do not have a good offense. If they played a lot of these top 25 teams, they'd get blown out. So I think they should have been pushed out of the top 25. Coming in at number 25, we have Miami. There's not much to say there. So Miami slid down 8 spots after failing to take a knee versus Georgia Tech. The game should have never even been that close. But when left up to Mario Cristobal, he did give the game up. He has taken ownership to it. It's 150% his fault. But Miami lost that game. We could have had a top 15 matchup, UNC versus Miami this weekend. But instead, we have UNC with all of the steam and Miami, who will Cristobal lose the team, or will the team use this as motivation versus UNC? That's what's to be determined here. I'm perfectly fine with Miami being 25. As I said in my reaction video, they would either get kicked out of the poll or be 25, and they came in at 25. This team is so talented, they should have won that game, so I don't blame the pollsters for not fully holding it against Miami, because it was a complete fluke. But Miami in at 25. Who left? Missouri and Fresno State, both out of the top 25. Who's the next guys up? So Missouri still, I think they're like 5-1 right now. Wyoming, really good team, 5-1 this year. Really 3 really good wins so far this year at home. And then you have Air Force. So some pretty decent group of 5 teams. And then Wisconsin, who's flying under the radar right now. Watch out for Wisconsin in the Big Ten. So that's my breakdown of the AP poll top 25. Hit that like button and subscribe. Thanks.